In this video, I'll be discussing the similarities and differences between my preliminary task and my final cut. In both my preliminary task and my final cut, I used a match-on action of our main character coming through the door. I really liked how this worked in my preliminary task, so I decided to incorporate it into our final cut. Here I'm displaying the enigmatic effects of both of our main characters, both in the preliminary and our final cut. Here you can see we've used a high angle to connote vulnerability in both of our characters in the preliminary and the final cut. However, the differences outweigh the similarities because of the amount of techniques, styles, conventions and themes I learnt throughout my course doing media studies.
Please don't do it, you can have anything you want.
Oi.
My final cut has a soundtrack of a popular pop song, which is lacking in my preliminary task. I did this so it would attract the audience and have a better feel to it. My final cut is much longer because I planned it better than my preliminary. The titles are different in both films, seeing as my final cut is a lot more depressing than my preliminary task. It is about bullying, which makes the black and white title page more significant than the orange and white title page of my preliminary. This fits with the theme better than my preliminary task title. Camera work and editing is much better in my final cut than my preliminary task, and this is visible throughout both films. This is because I'd learnt new things, studied new techniques, and developed my knowledge into filmmaking further. My final cut is much longer because I planned it better than my preliminary. The genre of both films is very different. My final cut of Back At Ya is a much more depressing coming-of-age drama than my comedy western preliminary task. Along this process I've learnt new things which can be seen in my final cut that weren't as visible in my preliminary task.